Welcome. Today we're going to be doing a question that I've gotten from several different families recently. So this is our Ask an Advocate edition. Tonight we're going to tackle the question, what can I do when I'm asked to give consent for an evaluation? I'm Charmaine Tanner. I'm a parent and advocate, a retired teacher, and author of a #1 best-selling book, The Art of Advocacy, A Parent's Guide to a Collaborative IEP Process. Some parents have been asking me where you can get it. It's available on Amazon, so that makes it quick and easy if you'd like to get your own copy. So as I said, tonight's The Art of Advocacy live show is going to be a little bit different. Instead of a longer topic, this is going to be a shorter video, and we're just going to be looking at that question about what to do when you're asked to give consent for an evaluation. Now, I've had a family in the past that talked about, her son brought home his backpack after school. She was going through the backpack to see if he had any homework, what papers he had in there, and he had this crumpled up paper, so she got it out and smoothed it out on the dining room table. And when she looked at it, it was called Consent for Evaluation, and at the bottom of the form there was a place highlighted for parent signature, and there was a handwritten note from the teacher, please sign and return to school tomorrow. So the mom thought, well, I haven't even heard about them wanting to do any new evaluations on my child. I'm not sure what this is all about. So my advice to her at that time, and my advice still for parents these days, is to ask for an evaluation team meeting before you sign any consent for evaluations. Now, you probably haven't heard about evaluation teams. You're probably most familiar with IEP teams. But yes, there's an evaluation team, and yes, as a parent, you're an equal member on that team. So typically what parents do is they'll sign consent for the assessment, and the staff, the teachers, the therapists at school will get together and decide who's going to do what kinds of assessments, and they'll start going their separate ways. Well, instead, I think what we need to do is to make sure that you meet with that evaluation team, the school members, before you give any permission for assessments. You want to be part of the discussion. So families say, well, this is another meeting I have to go to school for. And yes, that's true. But it's really important to make sure that the correct type of evaluations are given to your child, that not too many are given. We don't want any unnecessary testing of your child. So I really encourage you to sit down with the members of the evaluation team at school and yourself and go through the type of disability your child has, the impact that it has on him or her at school. And I also think it's important to gather the information that you already have. Look at progress monitoring notes that the teachers already collected. Bring in any private therapy reports or independent testing that you've had done. And make sure that you look at what kind of information you currently have before you just sign a blanket consent. Yes, you can do whatever assessments you think is necessary. So by having this team meeting, and remember, you're the equal partner there at that team meeting, you can look at what you've already collected and decide, do we need any additional evaluations? There might be a time, especially for high school students, where they've been assessed for years and years, and it's like, we don't really need to do any new assessments. I know that was the case for our son Dylan, who has Down syndrome. We had, pretty much tested him for years and years, and there wasn't any new reason why we needed to give additional formalized assessments to say that he was still eligible for special ed services. So as a parent, you can always ask for an assessment to be done. The school is obligated every 3 years to make sure that your child is still qualifies for special education. So at that 3rd year time frame is usually when they send home that consent for assessment form. So make sure again that you sit down and meet and see if that's really necessary. So this is my tip for the week, to always have that conversation with school people before you sign anything. Once you've decided what you need to do, what kinds of testing, if any, have them write on the form exactly what areas they're going to test. If they check off academic testing, ask, is that going to be math and reading? Does it also include written language? If your child has social language needs, make sure that the speech and language therapist is going to be doing some kind of subtest that looks at pragmatic language skills. So there's a lot to consider, and you don't want to just sign a blanket permission for them to do whatever they think of. So make sure that that form is individualized with what specific areas they're going to assess. Then when you feel comfortable, you can sign it and date it. Have the school sign and date it so it shows that they've received it. And before you leave the building, get a copy of that document, because we always want to be making sure that whatever paperwork you sign for the school, that you get a copy of it, you take it home and put it in your child's 3-ring binder, and you make sure that you keep all of those things for your own records that you have for your child at home. So I hope this has answered your questions. I also want you to know that as an advocate, I offer parents a free 30-minute phone call to talk about any other questions that you might have about your child and their education. So feel free to give me a call. My number's here on the screen. It's 208-340-5874, and we can set up that time for that free consult. So as we sign off for this week, know that I'm passionate about helping parents advocate for their children. I think the 3 things that I can help you do is to build relationships with school staff, to make sure that you know and understand your rights, and that together we can generate positive outcomes for your child. So until next week, take care.